Hi, welcome to the Kate Daly Show. I know it's been a while, right? Crazy summer, that's all I'm going to say right now without going into details, but just a nutty summer. I'm hoping you're having a good summer. I guess Cali and New York, California, New York decided that June 15th today was Safe Day. So you don't have to wear the masks anymore. They're so amazing. Anyway, they just kind of knew clairvoyantly that on either coast, June 15th was going to be safer than safe. And so now you're all good to go. Isn't it great when the government, like on both coasts, decide that the same day they're good to go? I always like that. I think it's, refreshing. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. I also wanted to mention that whenever they go to the death count, because I'm going to go through a couple of topics here and give you kind of my 1-2 on it so that you know where I stand. But I saw yet another article that talked about the death count. The death count over 600,000. Okay, now they didn't build a new cemetery in 2020 to house this 500,000 people, nor did they add on to a cemetery. This is very important news because it kind of deflates the whole idea that over 500,000 more died. I think they just took it from categories and then made it into the COVID victims. But in any case, Johns Hopkins will always be the outfit that tells you the death toll. And the government likes to sort of have this step between themselves and us by always taking the very, very controlled Johns Hopkins. It was actually built up by government, proposed by government, controlled by government since its existence. And they are sort of the accountability arm for the death. So they're one step removed. Does that make sense? So no matter what, whenever you do your homework or research, you'll always notice that Johns Hopkins is always giving you the final death toll. Okay. And that way, no matter what, they're always one step removed from the information. But Johns Hopkins will always be that kind of pinnacle for them to blame. And Johns Hopkins has been spewing out crap for, close to 80 years, 90 years, something like that. So since their existence, and I've done many, many shows on this. So look for the Kate Daly Show episodes on the Johns Hopkins history. You'll be quite amazed. I also wanted to mention that they're going to try now to put the COVID shot in the flu shot. See, there's just not a lot of people. See, what happened was there was two different news stories that came out at the same time. One was saying that we had 300 million doses of COVID out there. And even with the 2-dose count from AstraZeneca or from Moderna, that would place about half the Americans getting the shot. But then when they polled Americans, 3 out of 4 said absolutely no to the shot. So which is true. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to get a lot of conflicting stories. And then we sent millions overseas. Why did we do that if we're trying to get everybody the shot that they apparently want, which I don't think they want? So they're playing a game with the stories right now, and 3 out of 4 Americans are not wanting the shot, nor will they ever. So they're trying to convince us with lap dances in Vegas or free beer or money or college or just all of these things, to go get this shot. And if they have to heavily market to you, something's wrong. But then you can always count on Johns Hopkins to come out and tell you the final death tolls that are happening that I don't believe, actually. The other one, story that came out was very interesting on housing. Blackstone, the large investment group that's propped up by the Federal Reserve. Yeah, you heard me. Propped up by the Federal Reserve, which is neither federal nor a reserve of any kind, but a private organization. They are buying up houses. Now, this isn't new, though. I wanted to tell you this because these stories have been going on for quite a while since the market fall in 2008 and 2009. So that's when they heavily went into the market of buying up homes and owning rentals and jacking up the prices to inflate the market on housing once again. But there was even an article in The Atlantic 2019, and the title was Atlantic, when Wall Street is your landlord. So they were already doing this, but there is some focus on them right now as just starting to do it under COVID. They were doing it long before this. But yeah, they increased during COVID, and so now they're buying large tracts of homes, like in Texas, 126 homes at a pop. So why are they doing this? They're hanging on to rentals and making the housing market go up so far that it's going to be really hard to bring back down. Because if they own rentals and you cannot buy a home, you're outpriced in the market, then you have to get into this very, very high rental for long term. It kind of goes along with the Richard Day sort of predictions that were made in the late 60s that he put out there that said one day people will have to share apartment rentals with complete strangers because the markets will be so high that nobody will be able to afford anything. So there's that story. I just kind of wanted to give you my 1-2 on that. Oregon's getting real stinky. PU Oregon. Oregon is now saying that you can camp anywhere for 72 hours. You could plop yourself in the middle of the freaking street and nobody will say a word for 72 hours. That Kate Brown sure is a hot mess, and she's turning Oregon into a filth zone. I mean, it's like the new Venice Beach where it smells like pot and poo. And no matter where you go, it's like human defecation everywhere. So Oregon, what happened to you? And the farmers are mad because the Oregon government is stealing their water. And the farmers have every right to be angry. So what are they calling it? Right-wing militia groups are going to be very, very angry if they don't give back the water from the upper Klamath Lake. I wish they'd stop calling us that. And by the way, the FBI, I had to interview Frank Flaguzzi, and he's a piece of work, hot mess, lying scumbag, but he's the mouthpiece for expert for the FBI. And we got into it because he kept calling me a liar over the January 6th event that happened. And I kept telling him the truth, and then he called me a liar. But he's actually out in the press demonizing the right now for that event. It was neither violent, nor was anyone armed, nor anything really went on, except that Capitol policeman shot and killed a young woman named Ashley Babbitt. But other than that, you're going to hear that we're domestic terrorists. So they are on the rampage right now. There's a lot of rumors in the rumor mill that Trump's coming back into office in August. I don't necessarily believe that. Yet you'll see a lot of the ramping up of the FBI right now in the Department of anyone that loves their country or is speaking out about the election fraud or anything of this sort to be demonized in America because Frank is probably a communist. Anyway, he was in counterintelligence years ago and is trying to resurrect his career on TV. But he is definitely going after it. FBI is definitely trying to make this a thing and go after it. So I just kind of wanted you, I know you probably noticed it, but there is also a story about the succession plan, and I'll end with this. The succession plan. There was a woman on TikTok, and InfoWars picked up the story, where she was saying that she worked for a company that places employees into the pipelines to work. Well, she was saying they had a succession plan, which is kind of like a contingency plan if something were to happen to people in the company. What would they do? And that they had a contingency plan for the vaccinated that would die. Now, when I heard that, my first thought was, are you sure she didn't really stumble upon the fact that they were accounting for unvaccinated people to get to die? Because the narrative of these corporations is to really go along with the government's narration of these events, and that, of course, the unvaccinated would die. But if she's correct, and they really do have a contingency plan for the vaccinated, that would be a very interesting story. How many other businesses have done this? But I don't know if I believe it, because I actually think that they would be talking about the unvaccinated going along with the government's stamp of approval way of talking about the events of the day. So there's that. And I kind of wanted to give you a rundown of what was on the show, what was in the news today. And you're not going to hear about all the deaths, but right now they have almost 6,000 deaths on VAERS, VAERS. And it's really crazy how many deaths, because that's only up to 10% of what's really going on, the unreported. So just times 6,000 by 10, right? And you'll get your percentage. But I think there's far more than that. Those are the only ones that actually go on the report, and that's the government website. If this were lettuce and it was FDA recalled, they would do that over a couple of deaths, and they would do it in the entire country. They have 6,000 deaths reported officially on VAERS on their own website. It's crickets out there. They're never going to do anything about it. And they're going to act like it's all collateral damage. Are you collateral damage? Am I? I hope not. Please don't take the shot. The animals didn't fare well. Not one of them is alive in the clinical trials. So please, please do not take the shot. Wait it out. Well, you guys, there's so much more news, and we'll be doing more of these, trust me, and getting everybody up to date. But those are my thoughts on today's news stories. Go to KateDalleyRadio.com, get the rest of the podcasts, and thanks, you guys. Be faithful, be fearless out there. Thanks.